Hey everybody, we're going to do something a little different with this video. Instead of staying in here in the Unreal Engine world, let's come out here into the real world. I'm moving soon. In a few weeks, we'll be moving out of this house, and so I thought this would be a good time to share a little bit about how this is set up. This is a spare room in the house. Not particularly large. It's 13 feet by 11 feet, and this is the space that I've been using for recording my YouTube videos, the live streaming events, the teaching, virtual teaching, and all of that's happening inside Unreal Engine, of course. But the setup isn't particularly complicated, and I just figured I'd share it before we tear everything down and move, in case there's some ideas that you can use. One of the biggest things about a small room is how bad the audio quality is. I'm doing my best with it in that I can't really hang any permanent audio treatment around the walls and such because, well, we're about to move and I don't want to add any new holes for the new owners, etc. So right now, I'm just doing the best I can with mainly a bunch of blankets. So there's a photo backdrop along that wall. There's another photo backdrop along this wall. Now, what you can maybe see a little bit of in these is that there is, muslin standard portrait photo backdrop material hanging on them. On the same stands behind the muslin is a bunch of cargo blankets. So they're absorbing some of the echo, some of that kind of resonance that's in here. It's not really great, but it is better than nothing. So if you're in a small room and you're fighting against that reverb, echo, resonance, definitely start looking into things like audio panels and bass traps. There's loads of information on YouTube about building your own. They're not all that expensive. And as soon as I get to the new place, I'll be doing some of that. Since we're talking about audio right now, I'll share that right over here is the secret sauce to being able to live stream from inside an Unreal Engine virtual production space. And what this is, it's a Behringer Shark FBQ100. Now, this is an old unit. Actually, someone gave it to me when they saw me struggling with basically the disconnect between video and audio when you're using virtual production. So by the time video gets through Unreal Engine and then into the broadcast itself, there's been a bit of delay calculating all the keys and dropping everything into 3D. So if you don't have a delay unit, your audio ends up being streamed out ahead of the video that it's associated with. So this particular unit, I have it dialed into 290 milliseconds, and that basically allows the audio to get held up a little bit, and so that it finally makes it to the broadcast at about the same time as the video that's getting through Unreal Engine with all the compositing and 3D work. Now, the Shark, I don't think they sell that anymore, but there are similar units available. They're not particularly cheap, so you can also look into software solutions. I do know some of my friends have tried OBS. OBS does have a audio delay feature to it. However, so far in the experimentation that I've done, that my friends have tried, the audio delay, when you dial it in, it's not necessarily consistent. I don't know if that is relative to CPU load or something else, but you could dial in 290 milliseconds and everything will look great. But then over the course of a stream or a recording, the audio will start to drift a little ahead or a little behind the video. So having a dedicated unit for that, whether it's an external audio box or a separate computer running some audio software, is a really important component if you're going to do live streaming from inside a virtual environment and you want your audio to line up with that video. The rest of the stuff is actually really pretty standard. The green screen here, it's just a standard pop-up green screen. You can get this at most retailers like, I don't know, Amazon, B&H, Adorama. It's 7 feet in width. I'm hanging it horizontally, so 7 feet wide, 5 feet tall, the way I've got it hanging right now. The best feature of this whole thing is the spring frame that it's in. So there's like a steel spring all the way around it, and when you open this up, it pops out flat and the spring pulls tension on the green screen, so there's really no wrinkles, and it lights evenly, very easily, and it keys like a dream. The other side of it, by the way, is blue, so if you find that you want to wear a lot of green clothing in front of your compositing screen, there's a blue side to this as well, so that you could use the blue screen instead. The other really nice feature is if you have a temporary studio or a traveling situation, this collapses super easy. You just kind of twist it and it turns into a figure eight and collapses into just a disc shape. You can put that in the disc-shaped bag that comes with it, and if you're using a temporary space in your home and that it needs to be your living room later on, you can collapse it, put it behind the sofa, toss it into a closet, slide it under a bed, etc. It's really easy to store, and then you take it out, pop it open, it snaps right open, and you get this great little green screen to work with. In terms of lighting, I just have a pair of clamp lights. I think you might be able to see one of them over there in that corner. There are two of them. Each of them has a LED bulb in it that's daylight balanced, and they're 100-watt equivalent. So it's like having 200 watts of light pouring in, and I've got them aimed up at the ceiling, so there is some direct light coming down on me, but a lot of soft lighting. Basically, the entire ceiling becomes a bit of a lighting instrument. With that, here on the desk, we already talked about audio, so I have a desktop over here that is running Unreal Engine, and the camera that's feeding it is a Blackmagic Micro Studio camera. So it's shooting in Ultra HD, not quite full 4K, but Ultra HD, and that is feeding SDI into a Blackmagic Decklink board in the desktop machine. And so that's how Unreal Engine is getting my video, and it is getting it at full Ultra HD. And then Unreal is configured to output HD video. So I get a little bit of extra resolution in my keys with that. There's a Rokinon Cine lens on there. And one of the things that I'm doing with this is setting that camera pretty far from me. I'm thinking that's about 4 or 5 feet away. And also the green screen is another 3 or so feet behind me, so that there's a lot of distance between those, so I don't get a whole lot of green light spilling off the green screen onto my back. And the camera's a little bit far away enough that I can basically dial in some shallow depth of field with that, and then I kind of match that in Unreal Engine. So the other little bit of magic is going on here is the Blackmagic ATEM Mini, and that is a multi-input, so it takes 4 HDMI inputs, and it just connects to a laptop via USB. So the laptop sees the ATEM Mini as if it's just any old webcam plugged into the USB. So on the laptop itself, that's where I'm using Zoom or Skype or OBS or whatever it is that I'm streaming or recording or teaching with. And so that's a dedicated machine just for that. So I don't have Unreal running on the same machine that I'm streaming with. I can switch back and forth between a variety of different cameras. So I have this camera right here. It's my primary camera, but I sometimes will have an additional laptop, and that HDMI can go into the ATEM Mini, and I can switch between those. If I'm doing a really elaborate live event where I might be connecting multiple Zoom meetings as well as maybe a PowerPoint deck or something like that, along with the Unreal Engine, all of those video feeds can be sent into the ATEM Mini. I can switch between them, do some effects. I think I'll share a little bit of video about that later. But ultimately, the ATEM Mini feeds its program output as a USB camera feed into the laptop that does the streaming. I think the only last little bit of kit that's in here is there's a Blackmagic monitor there. It's called a Blackmagic Video Assist, and I have the HDMI output of the ATEM Mini plugged into that, so I can use it essentially as a confidence monitor with information, or when I'm in a Zoom meeting, I'll actually have the attendees of the Zoom meeting on that screen so that I'm able to basically look towards the camera. It works a little bit like a teleprompter. I mean, I don't have the whole mirror set up so that I'm looking directly into the lens, just a hair below the lens. Given the distance that the camera and that monitor are, it does generally end up looking like I'm looking straight into the lens. So the nice thing about the ATEM Mini is that the program output is always feeding the USB stream as the USB camera for this laptop. But the HDMI output is actually independent of the program. It could be set to be the program and just show exactly what's being fed to the USB. But I can also independently have that HDMI output showing something else. So as I'm set up right now, I've got like a Zoom meeting running. And right now, the ATEM Mini is feeding the GoPro video as the camera feed into that Zoom meeting. But the confidence monitor, the video assist over there, is actually getting the video feed from the Unreal Engine environment. So that way I can control everything that's in front of me. So I think that's it. I mean, that's basically the layout. I, you know, don't know if this will be useful, but hopefully it helps with some ideas for your own at-home virtual production studio. I think that's all for now. So until next time, have fun.